What's up, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. I'm back with another knife video. And tonight, I think I've got a pretty good one for you. I think you're going to like what I've got prepared. But before I get into any of that, I want to address something. A few times I've had some comments that, and I already was processing this and considering this, that my videos might be a little long. And I want to let everyone know that I do acknowledge that, I do understand, and I have heard the comments, and I have taken them in, and I'm going to try to do my best to address that. Now, from my perspective, knives are more than just tools. They're more than just objects that we use to cut paper or to get jobs done. They are objects of meaning, nostalgia, conversation. They are objects and a part of life. People grow up with knives. People become so accustomed to knives that they don't feel normal without one in their pocket or on them at all times. I feel that way about my knives. Now that I've really started collecting knives and diving into this whole knife world, I have become enamored with my knives. So I do know that I like to ramble on about them, just like I'm doing right now. And I just want to let everybody know that I do understand that. And I completely understand if my videos aren't for you. But I am going to try to shorten it up. And I'm going to try to go less in depth when I explain these things. Now, also, I just want to remind everybody that I've got a huge knife giveaway going on right now. It's my very first one that I'm so excited about. On January the 3rd, 2025, I'm going to be giving away a $200 budget to Blade HQ to the winner, whoever that might be, so that they can go on there and pick out a knife of their choice. Instead of me picking out a knife that I want to give away to someone, I'm going to let that winner choose a knife of their own, whatever they like. Now, they're going to have a $200 budget. Now, if that means that they want a fixed blade and a pocket knife, that's what they're going to get. If that means that they have their eye on 4 or 5 multi-tools that are really affordable, or a few budget knives that they've been looking at, doesn't matter to me. It's their budget, not mine. So the winner's going to get a $200 budget to Blade HQ on me as a way of showing gratitude to anyone who has taken the time out of their life and their schedule to spend time with me as I ramble on like I'm doing now again about my knives. So now that we've got that out of the way, by the way that you enter this contest is to like the videos, subscribe, and I don't care if it's this video, find any of my videos, like them, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment about knives. Whether it be a story about knives, something from your past, knives that you like, knives that you've got your eye on, something about my videos. I don't care if it's something about another channel that you've looked at. Also, now that I've said that, I want to let everybody know there's a shout out I want to give. There's a guy in my comment section that Mike's Knives. He is another guy who is starting out a knife video channel just like I am. And you can find him in my comment section. But I highly recommend, he's got some really great knives on there. And I just want to, pay it forward. I would hope that someone would give me a shout out if they ever had the opportunity, and I want to do the same thing for him. So go into my comment section, look for him, go give him a shout out, subscribe to his channel if you can, just pay it forward. This is a great big world, and everybody should be helping each other out whenever you can. Just being kind and nice is free. It doesn't cost a thing to be kind and nice and help somebody out. And if you subscribing to someone's channel makes their day, makes them feel better about what they're doing, encourages them, makes them feel confident, gives them the motivation to continue forward, then that's a great way to show kindness and help somebody else out. So now that I've got all that out of the way, let's get to some knives. The knife video that I've got planned for you tonight, I've recently done a video on some knives that you should, budget knives that you could start a collection with. Anybody could find these knives, and 5 knives, budget knives, that you could start a collection with that would be rock solid, beginning. You could give them as gifts. They were all phenomenal knives. And I wanted to take a step farther now. Now that we've got it out of the way, How would you start a collection? What knives would be a good start? What would be that first knife? When you've been collecting a little bit, maybe you've been saving up some money, maybe you got a bonus check, or you've got a little bit more money because it's the middle of the month and all your bills are paid. Or maybe you could just do it like that and you've just got into knives and this is new to you and you just want to check out a really nice knife. So you want to find that very first knife that's not cheap. Now I'm not gonna go $300, $400, $500. We're not talking Sabenzas here, Chavez's. We're not talking Winklers. We're not talking anything like that. We're talking just, $100, $200, maybe just a tad bit more than that. But the very first knife that you could get to where you're really spending some money on it, what would be a great knife to get that you're going to get the most out of? It's going to give you the best feeling of quality. When you hold it or look at it, you're going to get that, that really, you're just going to be impressed with it. You're going to get the most bang for your buck. There's a lot of knives out there, and I don't own every knife by any means, and there's plenty of knives out there that you can get on the market right now that blows these away. But I'm actually choosing from the knives that I have, and I've got a lot of knives in that budget. But these are the knives, if I was going to go back and get my very first one, I looked through my knives and said, what would I choose? Like, if of all these knives right here, which one would I want to be like, all right, this is the first knife I'm going to spend $200 on and I'm going to get the most out of it? Which one of these knives right here would do that for me? And I've got a collection here and I want to show them to you. Now there's two at the very end that I'm going to show you that are a little bit controversial, and I'll explain to you why. But the very first knife I'm going to get into, probably overwhelming odds is that this is probably going to be the most agreed upon knife. And it is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. And this knife, I couldn't put it into words how great this knife is. Now the Spyderco has got tons of great knives, and a lot of knives that are in that budget, and a lot of knives that are more expensive and less expensive. But the military was a really popular model and a line for them. It done really great, but it was too big. It was just so big that it's not too big for me, but it was too big for the average user, too big for the average hand, but it was a great military knife and actually done really well in the military. Officers, stuff like that, police officers and stuff would carry the military. So they wanted to shrink it down a little bit, but give it the same exact feel, the same options, the same look, just in a smaller package. Now they also have the Paramilitary 3. Now the Paramilitary 3 is a phenomenal knife as well. It's smaller than this. It's a little too small for me, but this is one of those knives that's just right. With this you get a textured G10 handle. You get a made in America knife that's made in Golden, Colorado. You get the S45 VN steel with the Spyderco's Spidey hole, as they like to call it, the thumb hole, so that you can open it with one hand. It's got Spyderco's compression lock, which is a fantastic locking system on knives. Their locking system, this truly is a one-handed knife. You can open it and close it with one hand. This is what you call finger safe. You don't ever have to put your finger in the way of the blade to open it or close it. It's a very safe and efficient one-handed opening knife. It's got a pocket clip that's 4 positions. Left hand, right hand, tip up, tip down, doesn't matter. It's got phenomenal jimping that's super aggressive, and a really nice little cradle right there for your thumb. I've got a lot of Spydercos, and I could have chose any of them, but hands down, the Paramilitary 2 is one of Spyderco's best sellers, and there's a reason why. This S45 VN is great at holding an edge. I mean, this is excellent knife steel. It's going to hold its edge really well. It has a pretty good level of corrosion resistance, but now it's going to be a little bit harder to sharpen. S45 VN is a little bit harder to sharpen. If you're new to sharpening knives, you're going to want to practice or watch some videos, learn what you're doing and stuff. But if you've got any experience at all, sharpening a knife is sharpening a knife. I don't care what steel it is. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. But I absolutely love the Paramilitary 2. And when you have a Paramilitary 2 in your hand, it feels rugged, it feels strong. You understand why officers, like police officers and military people, love this knife. They carry this knife, they use it, it looks tactical, it looks elegant. There's just so many things it has going on for it. But when you hold it in your hand, you understand exactly why it is so beloved in law enforcement and military circles, because it has so many things to offer in one small package. The Paramilitary 2, I can't recommend it enough. And if I was, look on lists on YouTube or Google of knives, your first, next level knife to get, the Paramilitary 2 is going to be on almost every one of those lists for a reason. It's also going to be one of those top 10 or top 20 knives that every knife collector needs. The Paramilitary 2 is a knife that everyone should have. But we're not talking about collection here. We're just talking about that first knife that you're going to get that's next level. And you can't go wrong with the Paramilitary 2. If this was the only knife on the table that I chose from, I would be very happy and content with this knife. But obviously I've got more options than that. Now, one of the things that I wanted to make sure to do, and I do this in all my videos, I like to give different options. I don't just want to give folders, I also want to give you fixed blade options. I don't want to just give you lock backs. I want to give you different locking options. I want to give you different looks and styles. So I've got a few different options here, styles wise. And this next knife is a fixed blade, but it's a fixed blade that you can do EDC with. And this knife has an excellent reputation in the knife community. This knife is a very beloved knife in the community, and there's a reason why. Now I'm going to tell you right now, and it's the Bradford Guardian. This is the Guardian 3. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is the Guardian 3, but if I was to redo this, I would not go with the 3. I would go with either the 3.5 or the 4, because they're larger and they would fit my hand better. But since I don't have either one of those, I'm just going to talk about the 3 and allow you the opportunity to go online and check out the 3.5 or the 4. Now, if you've got smaller hands, smaller than my big, massive hands, then the 3 would be great for you. Now, you got to remember with fixed blades, when you pay $150 for a fixed blade, that's the equivalent of paying like $300 for a folder, because they can put so much more in a fixed blade, because you don't have the different locking mechanisms, the different contraptions that you have, the bearings and the liners and all that different things. You don't have those things to contend with, and that's going to add up the cost. So they can just get down to the brass tacks, put the best quality steel with the best quality handles on it, and you're good to go. As long as you got a good sheath, which we'll talk about the sheath in a second, that's all you need. And with the Bradford Guardian 3, or 3.5, or the 4, and I think there's a 3.2 as well, this knife is so next level. If you don't have one and you hold one for the first time, you will understand. This knife will speak to you, let me just tell you. It might not look, images on a screen might not do it justice. But if you know anything about the Bradford, you understand that they have an excellent reputation for a reason. This is one of the top selling fixed blade knives for EDC that there is. This has Elmax steel. It has the 3D camo patterned micarta. It has excellent jimping on the top. It has what you call a, I can't remember what the term for the grind. I can't remember what the term for the grind is, but it is a stone wash drop point blade. It is an excellent, excellent knife. It feels great in the hand. Now it does have, it's a smaller one, but it still has a good sized blade. But before I get into that, I also want to tell you, the sheath is a nice little sheath. You can slip it in your pocket. You can wear it on a belt. Now, I have my own story with this sheath. Didn't start out well for me, but that's neither here nor there. There's an exception to every rule, and my sheath was an exception, so I won't get into that. Actually, yeah, I will, because I want to be very transparent. When I got this, I didn't understand what I was doing, and I tried to put it on my belt with the knife in it, and I actually pulled it too hard, and I pulled the sheath loose right here, and I don't have the money to just order new sheaths just to because I want a new sheath. So I'd rather buy another knife. So I just use it as a slip and just slip it into my pocket now instead of wearing it on my belt. But it's a very, very well made leather sheath. It's high quality. That was more user error than it was error of the sheath, and I understand that. But the Guardian 3 is such a good knife. It's 6.75 inches overall, 3.5 inch blade, and it weighs 3.7 ounces. Now, this is a USA made knife, and this one with the LMAX deal is $189.90 right now. And let me tell you, if you want a fixed blade for your first knife, because you are in an area where some folders are, or if we won't even get into the legal parts because I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to speak on that. But let's say that you're just someone who uses a fixed blade because you're a hunter or something like that, but you like to carry fixed blades for EDC. This is a next level fixed blade that gives you so much in a small package. There's plenty of fixed blades that I have that's much larger, that cost more money. But this is a fixed blade I can carry anywhere I want. I can slip it in my pocket. It's capable of doing anything that I need it to do. And it gives you the same feeling in this knife that I would get out of any of these knives on the table. If you are into fixed blades, I highly recommend, if you want your very first big dollar purchase to be a fixed blade, you cannot go wrong with the Bradford Guardian 3, 3.5, or 4. Now 3.5 and 4 is going to be a little bit more expensive unless you go with that lower steels. You can get the AEBLs and different things like that, S45VN, S30Vs, different things like that. You can get them all, but it really just depends on what you're going to get, and as far as the materials go, the price. But you can't go wrong with the Guardian, Bradford Guardian, regardless of what size it is. This knife is an absolutely next level knife, and if you get one, it is money well spent. Now, obviously, I said I wanted to give everybody options. I don't just want to go with folders or fixed blades. I'm not a big automatic fan right out the front, but my favorite knife brand is Protek by far. I love Protek. I love the Mordax. I carry the Mordax a lot. I love the TR3. They just came out with the TR4. The TR4 is, I just love the look of it. I haven't ordered one or anything yet, but I'm going to. Now, this is not the TR3 SWAT. But the reason I put this on here is because some people do like automatic knives. They do want an automatic knife. They don't care about having a really nice folder with a good compression lock or something. Maybe they're a younger person, or they are in the law enforcement or military, and they like the idea of an automatic knife. They like the ease and stuff like that of it. But Protek is a phenomenal brand. Everything they do is next level. And when you get this knife, man, this knife is powerful. The button lock opening, it wants to jump out of your hands. You feel it. It has grooved black aluminum. It has a pocket clip. Now, this is not reversible. It's right-handed tip up only. It is what is my steel made out of? And I apologize, I should have known that in advance. Yeah, it's 154 cm. Now this is a bead blasted blade, so it's going to give you that look. Bead blasted blade. It's elegant, it's beautiful, it's tactical. You know, I would not make my first purchase an automatic knife. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to be transparent with you. But I wanted to have an option for everyone. And I do know a lot of knife people, a lot of them. And there are some people that automatics and out the fronts is the only thing that they like. I know actually some people that just like balisongs, butterfly knives. They collect them and they can't get enough of them. I'm not a balisong guy. I can do them a little bit. I don't have a single pair. I don't want a pair. I don't want to spend my money on them. I'd rather get something else. I'd rather get another Spyderco or a Protek. But there's some people into that. And I wanted to put a next level automatic because I want to appeal to everybody, not just to some people. Now the great thing about this knife, the TR3, is it's a drop point blade with aluminum 154 cm. It's 8 inches overall with a 3.5 inch blade. It's 3.68 ounces, but here's the great thing about it. It's American made. I love American made knives. Right now we're in a time in this country where things are divisive and everything else. I'm not getting into politics or anything like that, but patriotism and being proud of American owned products and American made, you know, knives or just companies, you know, it feels good. It feels really good. And this is an American made knife. And I love that about this knife. Now this knife right here is $190. Now you can get it a little bit more, you can get it a little bit less. This model is sold out a lot of times. The one that's the SWAT, which is a little bit more, I've noticed that one's actually in stock of a little bit more because it's about $40 or $50 more. But there's not too many differences about it or anything like that. But it's a right-handed tip-up carry only. It's an automatic. Again, I'm not big into automatics, and I would not make my first choice an automatic. But this is a next level knife that if you wanted a first knife to be an automatic, this is the one you need to go with, because it's going to give you a price. It's not that $400 or $500 or those, you know, $350, $400 Microtechs out the front or anything like that. But you're going to get a really good knife at a reasonable cost. It's got excellent materials. When you feel it in your hand, it feels great. It feels solid. It feels ready to work. It feels tactical. It'll jump out of you. This blade, you know, you ever met one of those people that they jump up in the bed, out of the bed in the morning, they're just ready to tackle the day. Every morning they just up, boom, ready to go, ready to hit it hard. That's how this knife feels when it jumps out. You hit that button, it's out of the bed, it's ready to go to work. That's what this knife is. It's a next level automatic that you can get for a reasonable price. And if you want one for your first blade, that's a great choice. Now this next one, there's a really good argument that this is the best blade on the table. And Blade Show of 2000, Benchmade introduced a knife. It was revolutionary. It was created by a farmer, or designed by a farmer who wanted a knife that would be useful around the farm and just a worker, just a rugged working knife. And then the Osborn 940 was born. And the Osborn 940 has been one of Benchmade's benchmark knives. You just look at this, you immediately know the blade, you know the look, you know that odd, you know, reverse tanto blade. You just know it immediately. That's a Benchmade Osborn 940. They are not just well known, they're well loved. I have seen several videos from different knife YouTubers. Knife Center, Neves Knives, stuff like that. And I've seen several videos about next level knives. The first knife you should get where you spend X amount of dollars, kind of like what I'm doing right now. and almost every one of them had this knife on there. And there's a reason why, that this knife is so agreed upon. It's just like the Paramilitary too. This knife, the materials, the quality, the craftsmanship, the action, everything about this knife, it's just next level. Everything about this knife. I love this knife. I have not got enough, and I want to be honest with everybody, I've not got enough pocket time with this knife, and I should carry this knife far more. I haven't, but you couldn't buy this knife off of me. You just couldn't do it. I wouldn't get rid of it. I love this knife. This is the Benchmade Osborn 940. It's $216. I thought about not putting it on there because it was a little bit more than $200, but you know what? I don't care. The $16, it's worth it. Spend the extra 20 bucks to get this, and you're not going to be disappointed. It's a reversed Honto blade with green anodized aluminum. It's S30V steel. S30V, that's good. That's, you know, kind of equivalent to like S35VN, maybe a little bit better. S30V is a little bit harder. S35VN, they say maybe hold an edge a little bit better. You know, so there's pros and cons to both of them, gives and takes. It's 7.87 inches overall length and 3.4 inch blade. Now this has a 5860 Rockwell, so it's a pretty hard blade. It's going to hold its edge well. It's 2.9 ounces, so even though it's aluminum, it's pretty light. I mean, 2.9 ounces is not a heavy blade. It's a reverse pocket clip, so you can put it on either side, left-handed or right-handed. It's dual thumb studs. I love that back spacing right there, that purple back spacing. Now, it does have steel liners. Now, here's the thing about the steel liners, because it has aluminum handles. The steel liners do not go very far up it. They just go past the compression lock. So, Benchmade's famous compression lock, access lock, they call it. It's a just a phenomenal all the way around, just a great knife. It's again one of those knives, even if you're not a knife collector, or if you have a knife collection that's nothing but budget knives, and this is the only one that you have that's worth of any real significant monetary value, you've got one hell of a collection. Because the Benchmade Osborn 940 is a knife that it'll speak to you. It's the next level knife that you will never go wrong with. You cannot beat a Benchmade Osborn 940. I apologize for my little one in the background. He's watching Mickey Mouse while Dad makes videos. Hey, little man. Shh. Apologize, guys. Now, this next knife, I want to put this knife in here so bad. I am so ecstatic to show this knife. I'm going to tell you why. This is another fixed blade. It's a small EDC fixed blade. This knife has won me over so much. I love this knife. I got it because I knew they were into a lot of EDC stuff, Big Idea Design, and I got their pins and different things like that from them, and different pocket tools and everything. And then they started making knives, and I checked them out, and I didn't have a lot of real hope for them. I just figured they'd be good quality just like everything else that they make, but I did not realize how amazing it would be. And it is the Big Idea Design Lookout. This thing is the best $200 I've ever spent on a knife. I've got knives that I love a lot more than this, but this knife right here, man, I'm telling you, I love this knife so daggone much. I've been trying to carry this thing as much as I can. I carry a folder and a fixed blade. But this knife will replace the folder. You really don't need it. You can just carry this because it's small like a folder. It's got grade 5 aluminum handles, or I said aluminum, I apologize. It's got grade 5 titanium handles, grade 5. Now, I'm not gonna act like some rocket scientist. I have no clue what that is. I'm assuming that that means it's a really high quality titanium. I'm assuming, or why did they put it in the description? Obviously it means something, or they would have just said titanium. But the fact that they said grade 5 titanium means grade 5 must be some pretty daggone good titanium. Now the steel is M390. It's got a clip point stonewash blade. Here's a great thing about this. It comes with 2 Kydex sheaths, 2 of them. It comes with one with a titanium pocket clip already on it, and it comes with the second one without it but ready to go. So you can switch the pocket clip out when the retention wanes or starting to loosen on this one. Now, I'm going to be honest. The only negative I have found about this knife so far is that daggone pocket clip. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate the pocket clip with a passion. I'm going to tell you why. Because there is so much strength there. I mean, you have to force it into your pants to get it to go over the hem of your pocket, and pulling it back off. I mean, set aside 20-30 minutes for that job, because it ain't easy. It's rough. But I'm going to tell you, I love the knife so much, I get past that. This knife is phenomenal. It's 6 inches overall with the 2.56 inch blade, and it's 3 ounces. It's made in China, but this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen come out of China, because I cannot sing this song, I cannot sing this knife's praise enough. When I was putting, this was the only knife that I was 100% for sure this knife is going to be on there. I don't care, of all the knives, this was the very first one that stood out. I was like, that's the knife that I'm going to put on there. If you want a next level knife that will speak to you, that will give you everything you want for $200, you're getting the efficiency of a small folder, because it is smaller. You're getting the abilities of a fixed blade, strong and durable, no locking system that you're going to fail with, anything like that. Good jimping on top. Now, it's a smaller blade. It's a 2.56 inch blade. So you can even carry this in places where you're not allowed to have a 3-inch blade. So it's going to give you more options in different legal to carry areas. Just all the way around, this knife is the one knife on this table that I'm telling you, if I was to start my collection over and I was looking for higher end knives, this is one that I'm no doubt going to buy. It's going to be a really high up on my list to get. This is a phenomenal knife that you cannot beat with a stick, and if you did beat it with the stick's going to be in bad shape, because this thing is sharp. It is rugged. It is durable. I have not sharpened it the first time. I have used it for so many things. And I'll show you how sharp this thing is. I mean, and this is after I have cut cardboard. I've got 6 kids. 4 of them are little boys, and they buy all those plastic toys, and you got to cut the zip ties, and you got to cut the cardboard, and you got to cut this and bands and all kinds of stuff. I have used this knife to prep steaks. I've used this knife to cut open my dog food bags. I've used this, I can't go down a list of everything I've used this knife for. I've used this knife a lot since I've had it. I've never sharpened it one time, not once. I've honed it once or twice on the leather strap on my field sharpener. I mean, this thing is phenomenally sharp. And that's after I have done everything that I have done with it. The edge on this thing is razor sharp. And I have used this thing a lot. This knife with the 2 Kydex sheaths, a great warranty from a great company, the Wright in Tennessee. It's an American company, Big Idea Design. Now the knife is made in China, but it's an American company, so you're at least supporting an American company. But I'm telling you, I recommend this knife so highly. I really do. I could make an entire video just on this one knife. Now, those are 5 knives. All 5 of them are excellent choices. Any of them is going to be great for you. I'm going to show you 2 more knives. These next 2 knives are the knives that are going to be controversial for some people. I'm going to show you the 2 knives, and the only reason why is because I love them so much. They're knives that I just would buy myself. And the very first one is an AD-10. This is the most carried knife that I've ever had. I've carried this knife more than any other knife I've ever owned. The blade is worn out and dirty and everything else because I've carried it so much. It has Cold Steel's famous triad lock back system. It's got S35V in steel. It's got the black G10 handles. It's got a pocket clip, and it comes with 2. It comes with a replacement. So when this one, messes up, or you just, want to switch over to the other side, you can switch over to the other side. It's big, it's bulky, it's heavy, so it won't be for a lot of people because it's too big. But if you were somebody that likes big knives and you don't mind a bigger knife, this knife, this knife is just hard for me to beat just because I love it so much. All these knives are great. Every one of them you can't go wrong with, but this would probably be the very first knife that I would buy. If I started my collection over, knowing what I know now, this would be the very first knife I would buy. With the real money, this is it. This is the very first knife I would buy. And if you're somebody that likes knives that can work, like they're strong enough to work, you can do anything with them, they give me the reliability of a fixed blade. Like I was saying about that Big Idea design, it gives you the abilities of a fixed blade, but the convenience of a folder. This gives you the convenience of the folder and the reliability of a fixed blade, and it's in a folder. I love this knife. It's S35V in steel, G10 handles. The triad lock is tested and proven. It's got dual thumb studs. I can literally feather stick with this folder. I can baton with this folder. You feel it in your hands. You feel the quality. Now, people might say, Cold Steel, really? Is that the first big budget knife that you want to buy? I don't care. Cold Steel makes a phenomenal knives. They make great quality products. Yeah, they might not be Benchmade on some levels. They might not be Spyderco on some levels. They might not be Chris Reeves on some levels. I don't care. Cold Steel they make a ton of budget knives, a ton of them, that I would never consider putting on this list. But they've got some really good knives that I've put on this list too. And this would be hands down, no question, the very first knife I would buy would be this one right here. I would buy this one, not because I like it the most, because I have knives that I love way more than this one. It's just I have faith in this knife. I can use this. I know what this knife is going to be able to do because I've used it and done so much with it. And you'll hear me talk about my knives. Oh, I love this one. I love that. I used to be in sales. I'll tell you a real quick story. And I showed these products. And one of our techniques that we would do, when you get to this part, this is your favorite part. You love this. This is the best part about it. When you get to the next one, this is your favorite part. This is the best part about it. When you get to the next one, this is the favorite part. This is the best part about it. And if anybody ever calls you on it, I thought you said the other. Listen, that's the thing. This thing is so awesome. I love everything about it. Every part is my favorite part because it's so great. And that kind of has transferred over with me. I love everything so much. I get so in depth and wrapped up in it that it just sticks with me. But I do love my knives that much. I'm passionate about them. But this knife, I just have faith in it. I know what it can do. I know what I've used it for. I know how much I've carried it. I know what I've put it through, and it's still just as good today as it was the day I bought it. So if you want a really good, if you're buying a knife that just to show off, this ain't the knife for you. If you're just wanting a knife that you can show off, this is the knife that you can show off right here, the Osborn 940. You just pull it out and people know what it is. But if you're wanting that first budget or that first big dollar knife to be a knife that you can use, but at the same time, it shows money, it shows good materials, boom. Zachary, shh. knock it off, buddy. I apologize, guys. My little boy's over there singing or doing something with Mickey Mouse. I have no idea. But I love this knife. I know it's controversial because it's not any of these name brands. And then the last knife, I put this knife in here because of how much I am just impressed with this knife all the way around. I've had it in some other videos and you've heard me talk about how impressed I am with this knife. And it is the MSI. I have talked about this knife in a few videos already about how I am just so impressed with this. I did not think that I would be as impressed with the Microtech that wasn't an automatic or out the front. It's got black polymer handles. It's got the sheep's foot apocalyptic blade. It's got a reverse carry pocket clip, tip up only. The black polymer handles are extremely durable. Now it does have steel liners, just like that Osborn 940. They only go up so far. Now this is they call this the what do they call this? They call their ram lock. They call it the ram lock, but it's just, you know, it's the same thing. You know, it's the same thing, but it's just their ram lock. The action on this is so good. This is the best action knife I've got. I mean, the action is phenomenal. The action is so silky smooth and fast and quick. It's rugged, it's tactical, it's beautiful, it feels good in the hands. The reason I put this on here is because it's $177, but I do know that some people like different things, and there are going to be people out there that are going to be looking for their first blade to be something like a Microtech or something that can be tactical. You know, some people like those style of blades. You might be a 25-year-old dude that just likes, you know, tactical stuff and tough stuff, and you don't give anything about pulling out a really nice case folder that costs $250 and it's a case or something. You don't care about that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to put something on here for everybody. And this knife has absolutely blown me away. I've talked about it in several videos because it is amazing. I love the MSI. The Microtech MSI, I've been trying to carry it. I don't even carry it that much just because it's so tactical and aggressive looking that I gotta be careful. I go into my kids' schools a lot and stuff like that, and you know, you gotta be real careful with what you don't want to be like intimidating people too much, and this is a knife that would intimidate. But I'm also going to tell you, when you hold this knife in your hand and you feel it and you feel the action, it is so expensive. It feels so expensive. I would have, if I didn't know how much this knife cost and somebody handed it to me, I'd have thought that this was probably, just because it's a Microtech and how good the action is and everything else, I'd have thought it was a $300 knife. But it's $176. Well, $177. It's like $176.90 or something like that. Just a phenomenal knife. You can't go wrong with it. Any of these blades, if you're looking to buy your first knife that costs any real money, any of these 7 blades would be excellent blades to choose. It'd be money well spent. You wouldn't go wrong. You'd have a knife that would last for the rest of your life as long as you took care of it. You'd have a talking piece that would be a great conversation piece. Anybody is going to be impressed with them. And there's definitely different choices, whether you want a fixed blade, an automatic, a tactical, a lock back, doesn't matter. I've got something for everybody. And all of these knives are next level knives, and they would be great first choices for the very first knife that you buy that costs any real money. So having said that, I appreciate any time that you guys spent with me. I still spent more time talking about my knives and rambling on than I wanted to, but like I said, I'm passionate. I love my knives, and I love you guys. Thank you all for checking in with me. And again, remember my contest: like, subscribe, leave a comment. Somebody's going to win that $200 budget. I can't wait to give it away. Thank you all. I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. Until next time, keep your lives full and your knives sharp.